this election is not between Boris Johnson and Jeremy Corbyn. It's not even between the Conservative Party and the Labour Party. This election is between you, your hopes and dreams, and the 100 or so billionaires who have far more power in this country than anybody should ever have. It is about the majority versus a tiny, wafer-thin minority who control the levers of power. On one side, you have a racist, a liar, a cheat, and somebody who is deeply committed to all of the most disgusting, militaristic vulgarities of the Trump trend throughout the world. On the other side, you have a progressive movement which is dedicated to dealing with the real material grievances that people have. At the same time as Boris Johnson wants you to believe he's the best friend of everyday people. This is the same man that in an unprecedented level of Robin Hood in reverse transfer of wealth upwards chose to boast about being the best friend and defender of the bankers.
I can't think of any other politician, even conservative politician, who from the crash of 2008 onwards actually stuck up for the bankers. Can you think of anybody who stuck up for the bankers as much as I did? I defended them day in, day out.
Suicide rates have increased for the poorest in this country. Infant mortality has increased for the poorest in this country. Cases of malnutrition treated in the NHS have increased by 300% in this country. None of those trends have been reflected among bankers. Boris Johnson is your enemy. Despite the fact the media spend a lot of resource trying to make you believe that he is simply, quote unquote, Boris, to try and forge, and I mean that in both senses of the word, an intimacy between you and this disgusting human being. Remember, he is an instrument for the 1% and does not have your interests at heart. In 1917, during World War I, the Prime Minister Lloyd George was asked by C.P. Scott about the war. Lloyd George replied to him, off record, if people knew the truth about the war, it would stop tomorrow. We have actually reached levels of psychological warfare far beyond the imagination of Edward Bernays and his idea of propaganda, and far beyond Orwellian levels. Everything about us is being algorithmatized, and that information is being bid upon by corporations in order to sell us things we don't need. But that's not the only thing that's happening with that information. That information is being used to appeal to us on the most likely basis of convincing us to get deeper into what I call a collective Stockholm syndrome, whereby we deify billionaires who steal from us as if they are oracles of everything good in life rather than social and economic terrorists. 83% of the media is owned by 3 companies. 60% of the newspapers that are read every day are run by 2 companies. They are constantly working around the clock to convince us that our interests are not ours and that their interests are ours. Even in the case of the BBC, you have an incestuous revolving door relationship between them and the Conservative Party and other parts of the establishment. The idea of impartiality is merely a veneer. We have constantly seen Boris Johnson presented as this lovable, rogue, troublesome uncle type character.
What is the naughtiest thing you've ever done, Prime Minister?
Naughtiest thing I did promise to think about it.
And Jeremy Corbyn as this sinister, cynical, manipulative, and ultimately bad-intentioned and almost violent person. This caricature is mythology. It's false, it's not real, and it's there in order to fool you into voting against your interests. We have one understanding which places at the center of it care for human beings, and another understanding which places at the center of it being a vehicle for entrepreneurial forces. The NHS must be a red line. It is your health and it is my health. When you vote, you're not only voting for those that need that help, you're also voting for the elderly who may not have family members with them to look after them. You are voting for the member of your family who wants to go to university and doesn't want to die, like 75% of those people that take those loans, in debt. You are voting for the members of your family or yourself who may have children and want to save thousands every year in childcare. You are voting for the person suffering from cerebral palsy being told that they are fit to work. You are voting for people of Yemen underneath British bombs. You are voting for the one homeless person who dies every 19 hours in this country. This is about love against hate. This is about life against death. This is the first election in British history in which we have the chance to vote against the interests of the most powerful people that control our society. This is democracy in action. This is the development along the trajectory from the Putney debates to the Tolpuddle martyrs to the Chartists to the Peterloo massacre and today to Jeremy Corbyn. A win here would change the world. On December 12th, you have the opportunity to empower progressive movements across the world. The eyes are all on you. Double Down News is about empowering you and amplifying your voice. It's about holding the powerful to account and punching up, never down or sideways. What we need you to do is sign up to the Patreon account right now and support this vital stage of resistance.